Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back. Rogala Marine RC here, checking in. And out in the garage, working on a few things, just giving you guys a quick little update. So, we got the Lizard, and after the last run, you guys saw, dinged up the rudder, dinged up my brand new prop. Here's the inside of the boat, full inlay, full foam in the front, full castle, everything. And I was mixing up some epoxy, doing some stuff. So I figured I'd show you guys real quick out in the garage. Also got my recovery boat. I'll give you guys a quick rundown on that. And heat gun for the epoxy work, very important. So here's the rudder. Here's the rudder that we fouled up last time out. So what I did, I used these little, I'm not sure if they're jeweler's files or whatever. I've had them a long time. I've got a round one and some flat ones, and basically just went to town and took the chunk, right? So now it's missing a chunk. It's not quite as pretty, but very sharp, even sharper than before. It's smooth. I also use the round one to clear out the passage, right? And so when you're sharpening a rudder or you hit something, all that really matters is that the water has a nice channel to enter into, that the leading edge is sharp. You want your leading edge here at the bottom to be rounded, as well as the sides. And so while not as pretty as before, this rudder is good to go back on the Lizzo over there, right? So she'll be back soon. Here's the prop, 3-blade stainless Doctor prop. Here's the better look at what we kind of fouled up. I started to kind of bend it back a bit, and it started to crack. So evidently stainless doesn't really like being bent and then bent back. So, you know, this is the balancer that I'm working with, you guys. And this thing it's cheap. I've used it to do like, I'll do like the stainless props like these that come on the Geico or the Velez, for example, right? This is like a sharpening job that I did. I'll put an edge on it. I'll balance it. I'll use the cheap sharpener. Other than that, all of my props are mostly all Chris Hoffman. He's, been using him for years. And something like this, I would have to reprofile this blade, right? Reduce it some because of what happened at the edge there. And then I'd have to match the other two the same, which would be pretty hard on a pretty janky balancer. I'll probably throw this one in the prop box, you guys. A new one of these is like $60, and on my next order, I'll grab another one, honestly. Even if I could get this thing decently close, I don't know. I don't think I would. I've got other props to run, and it is what it is. I'll probably chalk it up to a loss. I don't think this stainless is going to like being bent back, and like I said, it's fixable. It's never going to be quite the same. I'll throw it in the box. Maybe later I'll get around to it. Honestly, you guys, I don't feel like spending hours to try and get this thing where it was and reduced. I'll probably go one size bigger, go up to like a 48 millimeter, and the Lizard, I guarantee you, will pick up a mile an hour or 2 or 3, and I've got the headroom to swing mid to high 60s now on the P setup. So here's some epoxy I was working with for the Decepticon. This is thickened G-Flex, West Systems G-Flex. It's the best epoxy out there for handling vibrations. It's thickened with the microspheres and black dye. I've done a video about this in the past. I use black masking tape to tape things off. I'll show you guys really quick here. G-Flex is really good for motor mounts, servo mounts, stuff like that. Probably not needed for everything else just because this stuff's kind of hard to sand. I've got the scale, right? Weigh everything out, mixing cups. And then this is black resin dye. And I actually made a short video for you guys on the Decepticon. Hopefully you guys got to see it. But just to show you guys A lot of Q-tips with rubbing alcohol. You soak them. That's how you clean things up. Obviously, you want to tape everything off. And that's kind of the bead that I did on this front brace. So I showed you guys that in a short. I still need to finish up the top, but yeah. Thickened, G-Flex, dyed black. This boat is good to go. Literally just waiting. I got 2 Castle ESCs coming from a buddy. They'll be here today or Monday. 2 beautiful castles. I'll show you guys those when I get them. I've got the brand new servo in. It's a 25 kilogram servo in, motors back in. And yeah, literally just need ESCs and this boat will be an absolute rocket. The only thing left over from the fire damage, you guys saw the last video when we were making s'mores by the campfire. This little black line right here, a little burnt, is the only sustained damage from that. And so I might even be able to get that out with some more scrubbing, but as of now, that is the current Decepticon. This thing's going to be absolutely nuts. It was doing 76 miles an hour with Raider 150s, and it's a big-ass boat, you guys. I mean, it's wide. It's a wide, big girl. Typically, a wide catamaran is built for one thing, and that's turns. You know, a cheetah being wide and short, it's kind of like a kite. You know, it wants to fly. A wide hull is going to capture a lot of air under it, right? That's why you see something like a Genesis, something like an MHZ. They're going to be long and skinny, designed to not pack quite as much air and to go fast in a straight line, but they don't turn as well. So here's some of the epoxy stuff. That was how I did that one. And then lastly, Big B just did a video having some issues with his recovery boat. I looked and I almost fell over when I saw that the Horizon Tugger is like $450, you guys. That's a lot of money for a recovery boat. And I don't recommend going out without a recovery boat. So I thought I'd show you guys mine in the hopes that maybe you guys can do something creative. I'm not the first one that came out with this. A buddy of mine actually 3D printed. Well, I believe this was something he cut out, but this was his design. And so it's essentially, to make this recovery boat, you need the aluminum plate, right? Cut out with a slot for the servo. And then you need one of these, essentially, right? Which is basically, there's a bearing in here, and this mounts up to an Outrunner motor. And this is a 760 kV. You'll notice I did 760 with a 6S capable ESC, so that what happened to Big B in his last video is he brought the wrong battery out for his recovery boat, right? His recovery boat, the Horizon Tug, there's some maintenance, some stuff he has to do to it. This is very inexpensive. This motor was dirt cheap. This ESC was something I had laying around. It spins basically a giant plane prop. It'll run a 3S pack to a 6S pack. So whatever I bring for my other boats, it will run, right? It's an airboat, same concept. You got these long PVC pieces with pool noodle. It'll scoop up and go get whatever you need. Very cool design with the cross brace. It's got the cross brace there, right here. That'll kind of catch the boat. It works killer. It's fast. It's like way faster than the tugboat. Yeah, doesn't really cost anything. Big piece of Velcro, basically, and a Spectrum receiver that I'll bind up, that's already bound up to my remote. So I'll take a spare battery, whatever I have, even if it's at like storage charge, it's fine, right? Because this thing doesn't really pull any amps. So I can take, and keep in mind, you guys, I run my batteries down to storage when I run them. So I can grab whatever battery I have, chuck it on this boat, plug it in, switch my remote to recovery boat, and this thing's cruising out to go get whatever I have. So he doesn't make these mounts anymore. I'm sure someone else has copied this design by now, or if not, could 3D print something like this. You need something very, this is aluminum. You don't want this to be like a soft plastic because it'll we tried that, and it turns out to be quite a mess. So I wish I could link up. I've got buddies that can 3D print. So to be able to print something like this and then maybe sell the plate with it would be kind of cool. But honestly, at this point, you guys get the idea. You guys see roughly how wide to make it, right? It needs to be wide enough to scoop up whatever boats you're running with. And then obviously the prop needs to be high enough out of the water so that the prop isn't hitting water. So that's important. So yeah, if you guys can get those basic measurements, you can build something like this for probably under $100, you know, assuming you already have some stuff laying around. These sponsons will pop off. So for easier transport, I can throw it in my car and it's always ready to go. Any battery, you don't have to grease it. You don't have to check on it, right? It's good to go. Like it's cheap. It's ready to rock. Try and build one. I've seen ones with twin motors on each side that are pretty cool. I like the single motor, big swinging thing, you know. You'll need longer wires here. I made extensions, and this is a Spectrum 120 that I just had left over. I built this thing with spare parts. The only thing I had to buy was this motor, which was cheap, like $40 or something, and then a big 3-blade prop. But that's what I recommend for a recovery boat. That comes out with me every time. I leave it in the car because usually I don't need it, but it is there if I do need it. So that's a wrap, you guys. Quick one today. Props. That prop, I'm not going to bother salvaging it. Again, at some point, right? Time is money. It's a hobby. Obviously, we like working on our stuff, but if it's something like this where this is going to take me 3 hours to not even get it as good as it was, right? Like, I'm going to spend my weekend on this prop. No, I'm probably not, you guys. I'm going to run a different prop. I'll order a different, prop from Dr. Props. And yeah, I mean, I do full builds, you guys. Like I like building stuff, but props are one of those things where I don't really enjoy it, and it's a huge time suck. And you do need a nicer balancer or something pretty decent if you're going to do that. And again, I'll spend my time on something else, If you get Pro Boat props, the Geico and Velez props, or even the Sonic Wake props, whatever, you're getting those for free. Get a cheap balancer, at least balance and sharpen them right. That doesn't cost you anything, and you'll end up with a decent product. But again, someone like Chris Hoffman, who's got years and years doing it, for me, that's something I typically choose to outsource to a pro, just because I can appreciate that it takes years to learn that skill. And again, I'll spend my time blueprinting, building boats, right? I got plenty of stuff to do, soldering stuff up. And that is the one thing I really like to leave to the pros. But don't be afraid to do it. Get a balancer, take your stock props, mess with them. You can't really mess them up. They're cheap. You just don't want something super out of balance because it'll really put a lot of stress on your driveline, spinning at 30, 40,000 RPM. But that's it, boat gang. Be out at the lake soon to run some more boats. And hope you guys are doing well out there. Catch you guys on the next one.